Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time to brawl. It is also time for some balance changes, guys. It's only been 2 weeks since the last balance changes and Supercell is ready to mix it up again. Now by the time you guys are watching this video, the balance changes have either been put into the game already or they are currently being put into the game. If you were fast to watch this video, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss the news. Let's start off by talking about B. B's attack projectile speed is increasing by 5%. Now Supercell wasn't able to give me a developer build with like the changes, so I can't actually show you exactly what it looks like, but based off of some calculations that I made, you guys know I love my calculations, I think it's going to be about halfway between what B's current projectile speed is and what Piper's current projectile speed. 5% is like a pretty small buff, but I don't think you can actually ignore this, okay? The fact that B's projectile is almost twice as wide as Piper's means that it's going to be much easier to hit now. And also, if you think about the range where like auto aim will actually hit their target no matter what, that range, that distance is actually going to be increased with this buff as well. I don't think that this buff is too much. I hope not, but I would not be surprised to see a lot more bees buzzing around the game. Up next is BB, who's getting a movement speed buff by 7%. In other words, her movement speed is going from fast to very fast, so now she's actually going to be able to move as fast as Crow, Leon, Mortis, and Max's base speeds are. This might not seem like a lot if you look at the before and after right here, but it's actually a pretty big deal. Personally, I feel like BB's biggest weakness is the fact that she has a hard time finishing brawlers off after she like knocks them back, unless of course they like get stopped by a wall. And this is going to make it much easier for her to catch up to her enemies, and it's going to give her a lot of extra mobility. And then of course, with the help of her home run star power, which is getting kind of an indirect buff of like because of this as well, she's going to be even faster than she was. Up next is Poco, who's getting a 6% attack damage buff. Now at max level, the damage is increasing from 924 to 980. This is going to allow Poco to take out 12 of the 35 brawlers with one less attack. Now this includes BB, Brock, Bull, Colt, Daryl, Dynamite, El Primo, Jackie, Nita, Pam, Poco, and Rosa. Now, of course, with that said, Poco's never really been super great in 1v1 situations. With Poco's recent gadget, he's offered more healing than ever, but, you know, he struggled with dealing damage, so I think that this is going to be a little bit better for him now. I think that this is going to make Poco just a bit stronger so that he's more viable, but I hope, I don't know, we'll see. To me, Poco's one of those brawlers that's like incredibly strong with the right comp, and especially since he got his gadget, so now it's gonna be interesting to see if he starts to become a little bit more meta. Next is Spike, whose curveball effectiveness is increasing by 50%. I really wish that I could show you what this looks like, but to put it into perspective, it's gonna be almost as good as when Curveball was first released, but not quite as good, okay? I still think that Spike's Fertilized star power is going to be the better star power for really skilled players who are already good at aiming their shots with Spike's attacks, but I think the choice between Fertilize and Curveball is going to be a lot trickier for most players. If you've been struggling to push Spike and you happen to have his Curveball star power, now might actually be a pretty good time for you to start trying him out again. Up next is Crow, whose defense booster gadget is getting a pretty sizable nerf, by 33% in fact. The number of uses that you can use it per match is going to be decreased from 3 times down to only 2 times per match. Now the shielding is going to just remain as strong as it was, which I think is really exciting because it's so strong and it makes Crow really fun because he can do some like really insane plays. But the fact that Crow will now only be able to use it twice means that you're going to have to be a lot more careful when deciding to use it. Obviously in Showdown, you'll want to make sure that you use it when you need to really survive a tricky situation or to get like a really important kill. And then of course, like in Gem Grab, you're going to always want to save at least one use to kill a gem carrier to escape so that your team gets the countdown. But I mean, you guys get the idea, right? I think that this is a really exciting way to balance Crow's gadget. And I think that it's going to be a lot more fair while also keeping it a really fun one to use. Up next is Ems, whose Friend Zoner gadget is getting the same nerf as Crow's, okay? It's decreasing its charges per match from 3 down to 2 uses per match. Now, if you ask me, guys, Ems was just way too strong with her gadget because it just does such a good job at countering every brawler except for brawlers who get a little too close. And now, if someone did get a little too close, all you had to do was just push them away, and you could do that up to 3 times per match. The effectiveness of her gadget is just as strong, but the fact that she can only use it twice will mean that you'll have to be a little bit more careful about when you use it. Just like Crow's gadget, I think this is a really exciting way to balance this because it's going to be just as good, just, you know, not as often, which I feel like that's perfect for this gadget. Up next is Jackie, who is getting another nerf. That's right, guys. She got 3 nerfs 2 weeks ago, and now she's getting a 5% nerf to her health. At max level, her health is going from 7,700 down to 7,280. This is actually going to make it so that Jackie is going from having slightly more health than Rosa down to having slightly less health than Rosa. It also means that she's going to survive one less projectile from 21 of the 35 brawlers. But the biggest interaction change is going to be between her and Barley, BB, Leon, Mortis, Penny, and Poco, who will all be able to take Jackie out with one less ammo. Okay, now I gotta be completely honest. I actually didn't play Jackie very much after the last balance changes because I pushed her up pretty high and then I was like, I'm done. Then she got nerfed and I was like, I'm done. So I can't tell you exactly how I think this is gonna change, but I do know that Supercell does look at the play rates a lot when it comes to choosing which brawlers are gonna get buffs and nerfs, which would indicate that a lot of people were playing Jackie and that she was still very strong. One important thing to note is that Leon is now going to be able to kill Jackie with 3 ammo, but of course, Jackie can also kill Leon with 3 ammo, and she unloads her shots a lot faster than Leon does, which means that she's still going to win in a 1v1 situation up close, unless she has less ammo than Leon does. I'm very interested to see how Jackie feels after this change. Up next is Gene, who is getting a nerf to his lamp blowout gadget. The healing is getting a 30% nerf and is decreasing from 1,000 healing down to 700 healing. I think that this is very fair, especially because Gene's gadget offers 3 uses, just like Ems is used to, and it can heal on top of it. I still haven't unlocked Gene's gadget yet, so I can't speak from experience from playing it, but without playing it, I'm actually really surprised that Supercell didn't hit this gadget a little bit harder because of how much value it provides. Granted, this gadget fits Gene's kit a little bit less than Ems's fits her kit, but you guys get the idea. Okay, now we have covered all of the balance changes for Brawl Stars, but I would like to talk about some brawlers that I feel like kind of deserve some love. First off, I'd like to talk about Dynamite, Daryl, and Mortis. Okay, now I like the idea behind all 3 of these brawlers' gadgets, but the fact that you cannot move while using them feels really kind of like rough and like, I don't know. I don't want to say unfinished because it's finished, but like it just feels like something is missing. If Supercell made it so that you could actually still move while using these abilities, it would make the gameplay feel a lot more smooth, and each of their gadgets would feel a lot more useful and less risky to use, especially Dynamite's, which, by the way, the fact that Supercell didn't give Dynamite's gadget a buff tells me that they're planning on doing something with it in the future, possibly making it so that it can move faster or just replacing it altogether, okay? Now, there are 2 types of updates. There are server-side updates, which is like these Brawl Stars changes where Supercell can actually do that whenever they want. It does take some work for them, but it's a lot more simpler than a client update, which actually requires Supercell to do an update through Google Play and the Apple Store. Client updates are for anything that like actually makes a change to the game, whereas server updates, they're able to like change numbers and stuff like that. As far as I understand, changing the gadgets to allow them to move while they're in use would require a client update. And Dynamite's gadget is clearly awful and it hasn't been touched in 2 server updates, and that tells me that Supercell is planning on to change it quite a lot. My hope is to make it so that it can actually move, you know, while you're using it. You get the idea, okay? Another brawler I would really love to see get some more love is Shelly. Every time I play and randoms play Shelly, I cry a little bit on the inside, right? She has the lowest win rate above 700 trophies, and she also has one of the lowest win rates below 700 trophies. The one place where Shelly has some use is in Solo Showdown, but she can be really terrible in the competitive meta unless you know for a fact that your enemy is going to play a brawler that she happens to counter. In that one type of situation where you're actually playing a competitive tournament, that might be a situation to be playing Shelly, right? But when you're just playing Brawl Stars, you don't know what the enemies are going to be playing. I really feel like she needs some love, okay? She's an amazing early brawler in the game, and I wouldn't want to change her base stats. Instead, I would want to change to either her gadget or her star power so newer players wouldn't be impacted. Personally, I feel like the best change would be to increase the number of uses that she gets from her gadget from 3 times to 4 or maybe even 5 times per match, right? That would be a very simple way that would allow her to get in position to get some more kills a lot more often. The fact that she has like this close range strength like Bull and Daryl, and then has a normal movement speed unlike any of the melee brawlers, is kind of what makes her really weak in the competitive meta, and adding 1 and 2 more charges would really help her overcome that weakness. I also think that Colt could use a little bit of love right now. Colt has a low pick rate and the 7th worst win rate above 700 trophies. Colt is a high skill cap brawler, but you'll actually rarely see a Colt in a competitive match because there are so many other brawlers that are just consistently better. A pro Colt can be amazing, but a pro at most other brawlers will usually provide more value, right? I think that a really exciting way to buff Colt would be to increase his base movement speed from normal to fast. Then players could actually choose between the slick boot star power, which would make him very fast, or his magnum special for that increased range. Like, it's kind of like combining the 2 star powers in a little bit of a way. You get the idea. I really feel like this would give Colt what he needs to deal with this new meta, since a lot of brawlers have kind of like power crept him out of the meta. Another long range sharpshooter that I would love to see get some love is 8-Bit. 8-Bit has the lowest pick rate above 700 trophies, and he also has a pretty poor win rate as well. Really, he's just good in solo showdown and sometimes duo showdown as well when you have his extra life star power. I know that he's boring. That's a big reason why people aren't playing him, but the fact that he has a low win rate now really tells me that he's just not very good. I really think that his gadget needs some attention. There are a few situations when his gadget is amazing, but most other brawlers have gadgets that are useful whenever you use them, right? Or at least 3 times per match. 8-Bit's gadget is useful maybe 1 time per match, maybe 1 time per match. Part of me thinks that his turret should just like stay on the field when he teleports, but another part of me thinks that they should just replace it with something else. I don't know. It's a really cool gadget. I just would love it if it was used a little bit. I don't know, maybe even if it just like gave 8-Bit like a quick speed boost after he used it, as well as teleported or something like that. One idea I had for a replacement gadget though is to increase 8-Bit's movement speed from very slow to just slow. So he'd still be slow for 20 seconds, okay? 8-Bit would still be slower than every other brawler in the game, but for 3 times per match, he wouldn't be so unbearably slow that he's at such a major disadvantage, right? If you guys enjoyed this video, or you just appreciate the fact that I spend so much time and depth, calculating things out for you guys, then you can really help support the channel by using code Kairos the next time that you spend gems in Brawl Stars. Doesn't cost you anything extra, and it does really help a lot more than you guys actually think. I want to know what you guys think of these balance changes, as well as if there are any brawlers that you think Supercells should consider rebalancing for another round of balance changes, the next time we get an update or something. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. For now, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.